What's up, guys? We are back. Fitness Profit Multiplier, Anthony and Jimmy, the sales coaching geniuses. So today we're going to talk about how to handle any sales objection at your gym. So everybody thinks that sales objections are, I need to know what to say if somebody says they need to think about it. I need to know what to say if somebody says, it's too expensive. I need to know what to say if they need to talk to their spouse. Truth be told, there are certain ways to handle these objections. And we're going to cover those objections today and how to handle them, how to handle any objection, as a matter of fact. So there's two things that I want you guys to remember. So the first one is I like to look at a sale, and I stole this from Jordan Belfort, in a straight line. Okay. This is a genius way to look at it. Do I have my whiteboard? I could probably share my whiteboard. Hold on. Let me make a whiteboard really quick. All right. So I'm presenting. Well, actually, I'll do a collaborative where Jimmy can also edit the board. Okay, cool. So we're sharing the board. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see it. So we have the sale as a straight line. So we got the prospect coming in. Okay. And then my line's not really necessarily 100% straight, but you guys get the idea. And then here's the close, right? So this is the close, the money. And I have a trackpad, so it's really hard for me to finagle this mouse.
Yeah,
But anyway,
same. We're not
yeah,
artists, so
yeah. But you guys get the idea, right? So this is the sale, right? So the goal is to get Mrs. Jones from point A, from point A to point B, and point B is the sale, right? So this is the goal. Now you have to look at the sale like this, right? So your job is just to keep moving Mrs. Jones along this line. So now Mrs. Jones calls and she starts asking you questions about the program, right? So now if she starts asking you questions, like let's just say first question she asks you is, hey, Jimmy, are your trainers certified at your gym? What's happening is Mrs. Jones is coming off this line, right? And she doesn't know any better, right? She's just trying to find that information. She thinks this information is relevant, but it's really not. It's an important question. It's not like it's not an important question. It's an important question, but it's irrelevant to helping her get her goals, right? So the proper way, well, what most gyms do and what most salespeople do is they answer this question incorrectly. They start going down the rabbit hole of, yeah, they have NASM certifications and they're CSCS and they have nutrition, and they start going down all these rabbit holes. So what happens is they take Mrs. Jones' question from here to space. I'm trying to write space. Whatever, you guys get the idea. Space. They take it to space and they go all the way to Pluto with it. Okay, they just keep answering and going down rabbit holes. And this, again, is irrelevant to moving Mrs. Jones from point A to point B. So what we have to do is we have to answer this question strategically and pull Mrs. Jones back down to the line. So the correct way to answer this question is, well, Mrs. Jones, all of our trainers are nationally accredited and we're all up to speed in helping you to lose 30 pounds. So let me ask you, what are you doing currently to lose that 30 pounds? So what I did was I answered a question and I looped it back to the line to keep moving in the direction of a sale. So what happens is most people get off on all these different tangents and they forget that the sale is a straight line. Jimmy, I'm going to let you talk a little bit. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, but hopefully if you're watching this, my horrible sales lines make sense.
well, we have these different points on our line, right? So if Anthony's talking about the points on the line, right? So we have a point here, and maybe I can do this a little bit easier. No. Okay. Whatever. We have a point here, and we have a point here, and we have a point here, right? We have all these points on the line, right? And if you follow these points in the line, you get to the sale. The problem is, like Anthony was talking about, you take them off the line, they're out here, you gotta draw them back. So these points are like, what's your goal? How long have you been trying to achieve this goal? What have you tried in the past? What's worked for you? What hasn't worked for you? How do you feel about where you're currently at and where do you want to be? How would you feel once you achieve where you want to be? And then we get to the sale, right? Those are just examples of the points. There's other points along the way, like What did you dislike about your other experiences? What do you need from us to get you to where you want to go? It's feel, felt, found. It's what their goal is, how they feel now, and what they're going to find with you, in addition to injecting a third-party verification story, injecting some trial closes, like if we could do X, you would want to do this program, right? This program would work for you if we do X. What does it look like for you time-wise for this to be successful? What does success look like to you? Like getting them to envision the end result here over the questions that you ask. And if we're going off of those questions, we got to circle them back to those questions. So things that can get you off the question, things that are off the line, are things like, what does your schedule look like? What does the commitment, like how many times a week do I need to come in? What does the meal plan look like? Oh, I don't eat this. What does that meal plan look like? Oh, I have an injury. How do you work around that? Like these kinds of things that don't really matter to the end result, right? The certification is a good one. Are your trainers certified? You want to answer these questions with enough satisfaction to the end user that their concern is closed, right? But not so much that it drives you into a conversation about something that has nothing to do with your process. One of the big ones that we get here is we start to ask questions about injuries because we want to understand those injuries so we can change their training program around it. And then somebody will go into a laundry list of, well, in 2014, I got in a car accident. And when I was 8 years old, I did, this kind of stuff. We got to get them back to, well, how do you feel about where you're at right now? So the key is they go off to Pluto. The question that you ask after you satisfy an answer draws them back to the line. So this is the straight line, and you don't want to go asking them other questions. Like they mentioned something about how the example from Jordan Belfort that I remember is like, he talked about in his book, he talked about how he was doing sales training with an organization and it was for like insurance or something. And this dialer is on the phone with somebody and hears that somebody likes duck hunting on the phone. Somebody said something about duck hunting. And then he makes up this whole story about how he went duck hunting and all this stuff, but he never went duck hunting. The seller never went duck hunting, never did anything, didn't know anything about it. He was trying to build rapport. All that does is waste time and pulls you away from the line. So it's not valuable to talk to them about anything that doesn't pertain to the thing that you're trying to get them to understand or the way that you're trying to sell them. So this building rapport stuff that people talk about, building rapport is as much as joking about something really quickly and then getting back on the line. It's not about going down a tangent or a path where you talk about some activity that you do that has nothing to do with what you're trying to sell them.
Yeah, agreed. And hopefully that you guys followed along with that. So what does it have to do with objections, right? And the point is that you start getting objections to things that are irrelevant to this process. Now, I explained this in another episode too. So we have a two-step process to get someone signed up. They call in, we speak to them on the phone, and then we get them into an assessment. And then from their assessment, then they buy training. So if you start talking about the features and benefits and someone starts going off into Pluto about all these questions that don't matter, you're going to get objections that don't matter. So what I mean is, let's say, for example, Mrs. Jones says, oh, I want to lose 30 pounds. And your response is, okay, great. You're going to love our program because our program is small group personal training. You're going to work with free weights and you're going to use barbells and dumbbells. And there's going to be 6 other people in a group with you and you're going to love it. Now, in Mrs. Jones' mind, she might have some preconceived notion about weights. Oh my God, I can't lift weights. Oh my God, I just want to lose weight. I don't want to get bulky. That's an objection right away. So if you're getting objections, if let's just say you do that and you actually end up getting someone to come in and now you're getting an objection when it comes to the price. It's because you pulled all that information out earlier and you didn't get them on the line to keep them moving. That's the main thing, is that all those things are objections that didn't have to even be there. And it's almost like you're ticking away boxes because I can't do free weights. Okay, objection. Oh, yeah, we're going to have a meal plan. The meal plan's going to have 5 meals a day. Oh, I can't eat 5 meals a day. Another objection. Ring, another tick away. Oh yeah, and our schedule, you're gonna be with multiple people in a group. Oh, I can't work out with other people. I'm so embarrassed. Another objection. And then when you go to show Mrs. Jones the price, she's like, "Well, let me think about it," because you brought up too many features that are irrelevant to what her goals are, and she's like, I have a preconceived notion about this. I can't. So keeping them on the line and, like Jimmy said, just explaining to them what they need to know in the context of their goals is very, very important. So everything that you say, and I'm not saying not to tell them about the program. You have to obviously explain to them about the program. But in reality, as trainers, we know it doesn't matter if Mrs. Jones trains in a one-on-one environment, a large group environment, or a small group environment. We know that that really doesn't matter. But what matters is that she's exercising multiple times a week. So whatever the program that you're selling, you have to say, Mrs. Jones, small group, which is what we do, is the best option for you to lose 30 pounds because blah, blah, blah. That's it. And you're just kind of like, everything has an answer. It makes sense to her. And then it won't become an objection for her later. Because typically, if you're getting an objection when you go to show them the prices, you did something wrong earlier on. Because obviously they came in, they were excited about the program, they wanted to sign up, they want to hire a personal trainer. Now all of a sudden you got to think about it. No, there's something they're not telling you.
Right. And we know as trainers that the specific mechanism doesn't matter, right? Like it doesn't matter what the specific mechanism is in regards to how somebody gets results in fitness. But what matters to them is that your specific mechanism is helping them reach their goal. So we do training on this system because this system allows you to burn body fat and gain muscle at the same time. Because this system allows us to modify the training so that you're not going to get hurt while you train, if that's their concern. Our system allows us to help you drop body fat because we increase your metabolism by changing your body composition, right? Whatever it may be. These exercises are specifically tailored to your movement pattern. Whatever you say with it, it doesn't matter that it's strength training and resistance bands and this and this and that. What matters is that your specific mechanism relates to their goal. Like Orange Theory has the orange zone. Nobody even knows. Nobody even knows what that means when they come into Orange Theory. They just see it as, oh, the orange zone is going to help me burn fat. It's the fat burning zone. But people don't really even understand what that is. They just are like, oh, this is going to help me get my goal. But it doesn't matter if it's treadmill or rowing machine or weights or whatever. What matters is that you relate what your specific mechanism is to their goal, and that's it. It's not, we do kettlebell training. We're a kettlebell place. Doesn't matter, right? Our program gets you this result through this specific mechanism. So that's all you have to say. You don't have to go into the X's and O's of how your training is periodized and you do these specific exercises because those other exercises don't work or whatever. Once they get into the workout, you can start to explain that to them. But when you're selling them, none of that matters. What matters is that your solution fits the result they're trying to get, and you just connect those two things together through the process of the sale, not in the objection close. Because once they have an objection at the end, you didn't do a good enough job of closing their concerns, relating your specific mechanism to their goal, and getting them across the line in them knowing, liking, and trusting you, and trusting that what you're doing is going to get them to where they want to go.
I agree 100%. This is perfect because it dovetails right into the next thing that I wanted to cover, which was, if you want to handle any sales objection that you might be getting, you have to do a really, really good job at uncovering their pain. What the hell does that mean? Most salespeople forget this. This person who's calling you and calling your gym and wanting a solution to their problem has a pain, right? They have a pain. They have a reason why they opted in or whatever, why they called you. There's a reason. There's something that keeps them up at night. And you'll hear like fugazi marketer people talk about like, oh, what's the desire that keeps them up at night? And there's something to that, right? But when it comes to objections in the sales process and getting someone to close, most of the time, salespeople do a shit job at uncovering that person's pain. So, for example, Mrs. Jones comes in, she wants to lose 30 pounds. All right, perfect. That's her goal. She wants to lose 30 pounds. And she doesn't want to lose 30 pounds. She doesn't care what that number is on the scale. Because I can guarantee you, if Mrs. Jones went from 30% body fat to 15% body fat and her weight stayed exactly the same, she would look completely different and wouldn't care what the number was on the scale. So it has nothing to do with the weight. You got to ask more questions, uncover that pain. Okay, 30 pounds. Why 30 pounds? Why not 40 pounds? Or why not 20 pounds? Well, I felt, comfortable at this weight before. What about that weight that you felt comfortable with? What made you feel so comfortable at that weight? Again, digging and digging and digging until you find out, yeah, I really just want to look really good for this high school reunion I have coming up in August. That's the true why. That's what kept her up. That's what made her click the opt-in button. It's not just this arbitrary goal of losing 10 pounds. That's not the goal. That's not it. You have to keep digging to get that. Jimmy, I don't know if you want to kind of like role play that with me really fast, but like we can. But I think they get the idea.
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to get the goal is you're trying to get to the layers underneath. So it's like, you guys have all seen Shrek, I'm sure, right? So and an ogre has layers, not like a cake, but like an onion, right? So everybody's an onion. And this dovetails beautifully into what I'm about to say. If you can get a prospect, and this predominantly happens with female prospects, if you can get a prospect to dive deeper and deeper into the center of that onion, you can sometimes get them to cry in the meeting because of how much pain they're in. But they're not going to cry telling you, I want to lose 30 pounds. They're going to cry telling you, I want my husband to look at me like he did when we first got married. And that's the reason why they need you, not because of the 30 pounds. The 30 pounds is irrelevant, right? The end result is if I'm more physically attractive, my husband will look at me the same way he did again. And I need help. I need your help to get me to do that. How can we do it? And then you say, I can help you do that. It's going to be this much. What card would you like to use? This is how we help you do it through this mechanism, this way. And you don't have to worry about anything. We'll go through everything and make sure that everything is solid with this, that, and the other thing. Our trainers will take care of all of this stuff. And we'll get you to that point again. But if you can get them to say, I don't want to end up like my parents, and they're immobile and they're not active and they're overweight and they have all these health problems. You can get them to say, I just got a divorce and I want to start dating again. And I'm afraid because I don't look like I used to, right? These kinds of things are very powerful. I want to be a good example for my children because I'm not doing the things that I want them to do in their life, exercise-wise. Those things are powerful. I want to drop 15 pounds because I want to, because my doctor told me, is not enough, right? I want to fit in the clothes in the back of my closet because I can't wear those anymore is good. But why do you want to fit into those clothes? Because I'm not confident in myself anymore. And those are the things that when you uncover and you get to the center of the onion are what pushes you across the buying line at the end and gets rid of objections before they even come up because they're so bought into the fact that they've admitted that they need this help and they can't do it on their own. Another factor to this, you get them to that point, and then you get them to the point of like why they haven't done it, why they aren't seeing the result. Those things are important as well because they'll admit to you that they're lazy, they're not accountable, they're not motivated, they're not going to do it on their own, and on their own it didn't work for them. Okay, if all these things didn't work for you, we have the solution that will work for you to get you to this goal so you don't have to cry about this stuff anymore. That's where the magic is.
Couldn't agree more, man. So that's it. That's how you handle any sales objection. If you don't want to, the whole goal of handling sales objections is to not get them in the first place. And the way you don't get them in the first place is by keeping someone on a straight line and uncovering their true pain, the true reason why they called you. If you do those two things, you shouldn't be getting a lot of sales objections. So it's not about the X's and O's. If you're, oh, well, what do I say when they say they need to think about it? You lost the sale already because you have to do all those things prior to that. And then you probably won't get that objection at the end. If you guys want help with some sales coaching, just click the link below. You could sign up for that right down there. And until next time, this is Anthony Jimmy, Fitness Profit Multiplier. We are out.